might kind of slide away a little bit.
Well, we got to just, I'll come back again and we'll talk.
Dr. Kyle Marrero, outgoing president for the University of West Georgia, sitting to my right, and sitting to my left, brand new director of strategic communications, Annalie Ashley. And I believe you're a Georgia Southern graduate, which kind of ties you into
kind of ironic, isn't it? There you go.
Ties you into Dr. Marrero, where he's heading out. It was announced in early July. The Board of Regents said picked out Dr. Kyle Marrero to be the next president of Georgia Southern University, and he will begin that position effective April 1st. Appreciate you guys coming out this morning. April Fool's Day.
There you go.
I've pointed that out a couple times. I guess, talk about that decision. I'm trying to think when you started here. Was it 2013?
Yeah, July 1st, 2013.
2013. I do remember that press release was a nice big introduction to you. You came in there, your daughter was dressed in a UWG cheerleading outfit.
Yes, sir.
And I had a chance to, I believe, meet your wife, and it was a nice introduction to you. There's one strange thing that I do remember, and you may not even want to comment on this. It was a gentleman that worked for another radio station and just asked the most bizarre question in the world. And I think he just wanted to ask something and just asked about the religious problem.
Yeah, what are you going to do about all the religious people on your campus?
It was just a strange question, and I think we all kind of looked down. Colton Campbell, who works for you guys now, he works for the paper, and I think we just looked at each other and just, we just had no idea. But you handled it well.
Well, thanks.
And have handled all of the annoying press since then, the annoying press people. Well since then. But let's talk about that decision. It's a bigger school, Georgia Southern.
Sure.
I mean, is that part of it?
Well, it's a next step, and it's still the comprehensive sector in the university system. So it's a peer institution, at least in the classification with the Board of Regents. Georgia Southern, Valdosta State, Kennesaw State, and University of West Georgia are all considered comprehensive universities. They're larger. They're 27,000 students, 20,000 in Statesboro, 7,000 in Savannah, and a campus in Hinesville, next to Fort Stewart Army Base. So a little more complex that way, multi-location, though we have multiple locations here at University of West Georgia, just larger. Also, they're D1 athletics, FBS football, open the season next year against LSU, where I was 11 years, so I'm excited to go to Death Valley there and be with all my Cajun friends. But they have the full engineering spectrum programmatically because of a larger institution. They have a few more programs beyond what we do at University of West Georgia. But, Colin, the main thing I want to say is University of West Georgia has been an incredible place. Since the day we walked in, July 1st, 2013, they've embraced me and my family. Lily was 3 years old when she was in that cheerleading outfit. She's 8 years old, turns 9 here in a couple weeks, and she's a Carrollton Trojan. We have been embraced, and we've embraced the entirety of the community, and they've been just extraordinary to us. And I want to thank them. Thank them for nurturing us, for letting me grow both professionally and personally, and everything from our church, the community, you name it, to our faculty and staff, which I think are just the best of the West, and are doing great things. And the leadership in place now is ready to continue, and I have incredible confidence in the continued trajectory of the institution.
Well, and it's maybe not just because Carrollton is a small town, but you are a big part of this community. I mean, you are at a lot of events. And is going to talk about the smile. We'd have not seen you publicly without a smile. But, when you are such a big part of community, and you're selling the University of West Georgia, and you're encouraging donations, and you're selling the community, how do you resolve then, doing that? Well, I'm not doing this anymore for Carrollton.
I am through the end of March, so those donors that I'll be seeing in the next few weeks, I'll still be there. I'll still be asking. Still be going to the legislature. We have construction money for a new College of Business. In fact, I have meetings today in Atlanta to continue the project, make sure it goes forward as planned. For me, that resolution, for lack of a better term, is the fact that I've built personal relationships beyond just the transactional. And so these are people, from the moment right before the press release was going to go out, I called about 40 to 50 people personally in the community that are not just supporters of the university, but are my dear close friends, to tell them so they heard from me. And so that relationship is transcended. They support us and our family, and And what I've said is continue to support this university because it's an incredible institution. What it's doing, its mission, the transformational power of education, how it's serving and helping this community grow. And they believe in that vision, that mission of what we're doing right now. And so they will. And so, it's bittersweet. That's the word we keep using. I've only woken up about 4 times in the last couple of weeks at 3 a.m. in the morning, going, oh my goodness, what have I done? And that's because of the relationships and the people. I'm excited about the new opportunity, but it's I won't lie to you, it's very tough. We love it here. It's been incredible. I know we'll love Statesboro and Savannah. We've loved every place we've lived, but this is an incredible, extraordinary place.
Statesville and Savannah, they're bigger distance than, say, Noonan and
yeah,
Carrollton,
a little bit more,
right?
about 50 miles, 45, 50 miles,
okay.
yeah.
So it is kind of the same thing. I mean, you do go back and forth to Noonan, I'm assuming you spent
Yes,
some time
sir.
over there
Oh, yeah.
as well for the University of West Georgia. When we did put this announcement on our Facebook that you were going to Georgia State, I mean, everything on there was, no. I mean, 4 N's and 15 O's, for a no. And a lot of people definitely sad to see you go. And I've heard a lot of comments in the community as well. Is that now looking at, I guess, 5 years? Did you,
5.5 years.
When you first started, I mean, I guess, what do you envision? I mean, when you go to a university and you're president, it's your first president position,
It was my first
right?
presidency, right.
I say vice president with West Florida? Or?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And I guess what is the vision? I mean, what's the vision? You come to a smaller town, a smaller college. Do you see that as something that you would think forever, or you just hope that maybe it will be forever?
Well, you hope that and you pray that any place you are that you have impact, that you stay true to your values. For me, that's integrity, that's honesty, that's transparency. That people may not like exactly everything I say or what we may do, but I'm truthful and straightforward about it, and there's no secrecy. And so I think that's the important part, the tone and tempo. When I came in, I prayed every morning that I would be the person that I was intended to be, and all I can be is me. And I think where people get in trouble, particularly in leadership positions, is when they begin to think that they have more power or influence than they really do. And the truth is, when you're an effective leader, at least what you're striving to do is empower others to achieve more than they ever thought they could. Put them in the place, provide those tools, resources, training, ability for them to excel. And then they are the leaders that are then permeating throughout the entirety of the organization what needs to have happen. And that's why I'm so confident UWG is going to be in incredible shape because, really everybody there is on board and moving forward. Faculty, staff, leadership, you name it. And so with that, the president is the, steers and drives the vision, but really it's the people, purpose, and action that make it happen, and that's what they're doing. And that's hopefully the legacy that if I've left anything that I'm most proud of, it is, we call it Engage West. It's the whole concept of evidence-based leadership, culture, high performance, and that accountability. And that's what I'm most proud of, is leaving that legacy of continuous improvement.
You did say impact, and I definitely want to talk about your impact on the school when we come back from our first break. But before we do head out, let's introduce Annalee Ashley officially, Director of Strategic Communications. Give us a little bit about your background and what you'll be doing for the university. I guess you've been there about a month and a half, 2 months, right?
So
or you're
started
going to say
September.
10 months. Okay.
It's been a little
been
bit.
a while.
So my background in higher education is with Georgia Southern, actually. That was my previous role. I was Director of State and Federal Government Affairs, based out of Atlanta. Prior to that, I was up in D.C. and worked in the Senate in a few different roles. So here, driving the messaging strategy for the institution, crisis communications, internal, external communications, and helping the president execute his vision. So I'm excited to be here. I am loving Carrollton, living right off the square, so spent a lot of time down there. But I am really, really excited about this community. The colleagues I've met, I love them. It's a great place, people who are dedicated to UWG and to the community, and I'm really excited to be here.
Are you going to be part of the transition? I mean, will you be working with the president, the new president, during
Absolutely,
that transition?
making sure that is as smooth as it can be. And yeah, that person in that leadership role we will support.
I think the interim and the next president have a lot, big pie cut out for them, a lot of work. Just based on the previous president, they have a lot.
Big shoes to fill.
Big shoes to fill.
Absolutely.
All right, we're speaking with Dr. Kyle Marrero, University of West Georgia president. He'll be leaving that job at the end of March. And Annalee Ashley, Director of Strategic Communications, University of West Georgia, are our guests this morning. It's about 20 before 9 o'clock. on this Monday. If you have questions or comments, feel free to call us at 678-601-8255, 678-601-TALK. And I believe you can post some comments and questions on the Facebook page this morning, and I'll take a peek at them during our break. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System, News Talk 1330, FM 106.3.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
How about that music? 841, Community Voice, brought to you by Tanner Health System here on News Talk 1330, FM 106.3, also streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. And this morning, you can see us on Facebook Live, News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. Have two guests this morning, both with the University of West Georgia. Dr. Marrero, the outgoing president of the university, and Anna Lee Ashley, she is Director of Strategic Communication. And appreciate both of you guys coming out here this morning. Let me read this press release. This was put out by the Board of Regents on January the 17th. That's when they officially named Dr. Marrero president of Georgia Southern University. It says he'll begin his new position effective April 1st. Quote from Chancellor Steve Wrigley, Dr. Marrero is the right person to lead Georgia Southern as it continues to expand its footprint in southeast Georgia. Kyle's higher education experience combined with his focus on strengthening academics and building community partnerships will be an asset to Georgia Southern's campus community and the region as a whole. Had a list here of some things that you've been involved in locally. It talks about University of West Georgia achieving records in enrollment, graduation rates, degrees conferred, fundraising, and annual economic impact to the region. So you also work to develop new student-centered partnerships within regional education and business communities. With the implementation of Engage West Initiative, UWG won the 2015 National Award for Innovation and Excellence in the category of Leadership Development and Diversity from the American Association of State Colleges and Universities. Also in 2015, isn't it uncomfortable to hear all this stuff being read back out? Also in 2015, the Chancellor's Service Excellent Award selected UWG as Institution of the Year and Marrero as President of the Year. Marrero founded the Carroll County Education Collaborative focused on K through 16 student success, and that program is now a state model. Currently serving as the chairman of the steering committee for USG's Comprehensive Administration Review in its efforts to assess administrative support service that functions system-wide. Prior to his appointment at UWG, Marrero served as vice president for university advancement at University of West Florida. I guess we played football with those guys a lot over the last 5 or 6 years.
The funny story about that is I was VP for advancement, and my background's in the arts, and so I was a producer of I ran opera companies, and so I'd produce everything from Aida with elephants and children and all sorts of supernumeraries and big huge choruses and the whole bit. And so when I was there, they were considering either going from D2 to D1 or adding football. They decided to stay D2 and add football. So the president came to me and said, "Yeah, you produce big operas. Can you do the football? Can you do the feasibility and implementation of football?" And so I was actually head of the feasibility study and then implementation of football. University of West Florida left right before they hired the first coach and the staff and began in earnest putting the team together. And then, lo and behold, go to West Georgia, and we're playing them. And that second year, they had a great season. They went all the way to the national championship game.
Still in our UWG.
Yeah, and University, we still play them. So that was kind of a fun connection.
Yeah, absolutely. There were some things I did want to talk about as far as heading out to Georgia Southern. I think in the last 3 years, they had a president that was there for 2016, hired in 2016. Stepped away in 2018, put an interim in effect, who's going to be in effect until April the 1st. Yeah. Is a university, is it bogged down at that point, when there's when there's a transition, when there's the president only there for a short time, then an interim. I mean, are you coming into a situation where things have been stagnant? I mean,
well, no, they've been really fortunate. The interim is Shelley Nickel, who is a longtime person in both state government and Office of Planning and Budget, and then at the university system as an executive vice chancellor for finance there. So she knew and has been an interim president before in the system, and really came in. You know, what they were working through, you have to understand, 24 months ago, they consolidated, merged in essence with Armstrong University in Savannah. Originally, it was the Statesboro campus, 20,000 students, Georgia Southern with a history since 1906, pride and incredible legacy, and Armstrong University in Savannah, founded in 1935, big legacy, alumni population that supports it, believes in it, serves Savannah, and two very different cultures and types of institutions coming together, and then through that consolidation, really working it to become one institution serving the entirety of the region. And so the interim president, Shelley Nickel, has done a wonderful job making tough decisions along the way, and since I was named, we've been talking back and forth, ensuring we're working together in that transition. But I want to herald her work. She didn't come in and just sit in a seat.
Just keep it going.
She's really done some great work in leading and forwarding that vision of a consolidated university.
Have you had time to put together a checklist of things? I mean, I think about a checklist you may have had for UWG, and if you checked all those off, do you have, just based on what you do know of Georgia Southern so far, and you may know all that you think you need to know at this point, but I mean, what kind of checklist do you have for this?
Well, interesting enough, it was a lot like coming into UWG. And first and foremost, you need to listen. You need to understand the culture, particularly culture of two very distinctive institutions that are now one. And so I need to take that time and not presume that I know everything. Just as when I came into West Georgia, there's a couple processes that I'm excited to be part of as I come in, just like UWG. They're starting a process for a new strategic plan, so I'll be able to really drive that and align that and make sure it's serving the entirety of the region. So I'm excited to be a part of that, because without a strategic plan, you don't have a direction. You don't know exactly what you're going to measure, what's important. The other part of that is a strategic enrollment plan. Really then, if this is who and what you say you're going to be in 5 to 10 years, then you got to make sure that you're marketing that, branding that, aligning that within your strategic recruitment, admission processes, everything to bring students, all constituencies, to your institution in a multi-campus environment, and then market that, brand that.
We're going to see a Go Southwest initiative.
Yeah, there it is. Boy, sounds familiar, doesn't it? So those are the immediate areas of focus to help be part of and collaborate with the current leadership there and help that through. I think there's incredible opportunity in graduate programs there in dual enrollment, serving the military. Excited, and particularly, the Education Collaborative, was one of the things we started 4 years ago here with our superintendents, with West Georgia Technical College leadership, with the Chamber, to identify, in essence, a K-16 approach to talent development for an entirety of a community, a single schoolhouse approach. And I want to bring that to that southeastern region, because if you can unify a purpose, a common denominator of goals, of what we want to do that everyone can believe in, suddenly the territoriality goes away and we all start to work together towards that common purpose. So that's definitely something that I want to bring quickly to the region to ensure that we're serving that old I-16 corridor, entirety from Savannah to Statesboro.
The University of West Georgia has a good partnership with West Georgia Tech as well. Do you see something similar? I mean, are there tech schools
Absolutely.
in that area?
Ogeechee Tech is in Statesboro, and actually Lori Durden is the president, former Board of Regent and friend, and so I'm excited to be working with her. East Georgia State College is right there also, in fact has a presence on the campus of Georgia Southern. Then you go into Savannah Tech, and then all the partner institutions in that area. So I think regionally it can be really leveraged to the success of the citizenry and the students there in that region.
Dr. Kyle Marrero is the outgoing president for the University of West Georgia. Sitting to my right, and Annalee Ashley is director of strategic communication for the University of West Georgia. Both our guests this morning. We have about 10 minutes left in the program. We will take our final break. You can watch us on News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page this morning, or listen traditionally on the radio at News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, and also streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. We'll be back after this.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama, because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
Page 51, welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice Program. Our show brought to you by Tanner Health System, News Talk 1330, FM 106.3, and streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. Also, the News Talk 1330 Facebook page. This morning, I'm Colin Worthington, sitting down with two reps from the University of West Georgia this morning. We have Anna Lee Ashley sitting to my left, Director of Strategic Communications, and we did let her talk early on. You might have missed that. You can go back and watch it later, listen to it later. But University of West Georgia President Dr. Kyle Marrero also sitting with us here. And I guess this segment kind of wrap up what we can expect over the next couple months, maybe loose ends you have to tie. But also we did talk about your legacy and that at Carroll County Carrollton School Collaboratives at CCE.
Yeah, Carrollton, Carroll County Education Collaborative.
You did talk about looking to implement it down south, but what is that as far as your legacy and leave that? Where do you see that going?
Well, and I have to shout out to my friends and colleagues, Mark Alberta, Scott Cowart, Daniel Jackson, Steve Barker and Noonan, of course Trent North now in Douglas County. It's the superintendents, it's the leadership, Scott Rule at West Georgia Technical College, all assuming from an executive committee standpoint a unification and purpose of a single schoolhouse impact. In other words, the multiple trajectories of every citizen that comes through our schools, from early learning, foundations, kindergarten readiness, all the way to foundations, to pathways and independence, with a single goal that every 18-year-old is either employed, gainfully employed, 3 certificates, welding certificates making $60,000, $70,000 a year as an active choice, and pathways if they want to continue on to a baccalaureate. They're enrolled, post-secondary, ready to go in their degree program. They prepared, they're ready for college algebra, freshman English, or they're enlisted as a purposeful choice. And what we're trying to do out of this entire effort is to inform, provide pathways, provide training outside the classroom, so at 18 years old, you've made active decisions, you're ready to go, and you aren't just floating around trying to decide what you want to do and build those bridges between the two. That program now is in 5 counties in the region and has been developed, and really it's owned now. It's owned by the leadership in each of those communities, and if there's any legacy, and I can't take credit for it, all I did was bring the people together and let them start to talk about that single purpose, what we're all trying to achieve, in a common denominator. And with that now has built what I believe is a foundation that'll affect this community for decades to come. And so I'm excited about that, and the hopes are to bring that type of collaborative to the East Georgia region.
During your tenure, your last 5 years, we've had a record enrollment at the University of West Georgia.
13,733 students.
How much can Carrollton handle as far as that kind of growth? The University of West Georgia. I mean,
that's
you're
a great question.
including Noonan as well, I guess.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and understand the growth has been largely graduate students and dual enrolled students. So and also online. 25% of our students of that 13,733 are fully online. In fact, almost 30% of our credit hour generation is from online courses and credit hours.
And I think just recently there were some awards given out to online.
Oh, yeah, we have 4 in the top 100 U.S. News and World Report. We're I mean, really, UWG is a leader in quality and of online education throughout the United States. And so with that, think of that diversification of student constituent. It's not all traditional on campus. So that growth, I think certainly the community has felt it, and positives and also challenges. And together we've worked, I think, hand in glove, and I want to shout out to the city and my partners there for helping us along that way to make sure our citizenry is happy with that growth. and sees the benefits of it. And so with that, that'll continue. I think the institution, could easily be 16, 17, 18,000 students by 2025 if it continues on the path. And that's a good path, because that means relevance. It means people are choosing University of West Georgia. It means it's providing the programs and the reputation, and people want to come here. That's what you want, and it'll help the whole of the community.
In the next 3.5 minutes, can you tell us exactly what you need to do in the next 2 months as you wrap
There's
things
a couple
up
of projects. Our College of Business is critically important. We've raised over $6 million for that, so we have a large cap, it's called, in the budget for construction, $14.9 million from the state, and so we really want to get that through the legislative session. So I'll be working hard lobbying with that, with our supporters, with Mike Dugan has been a huge supporter for us, now the majority leader in the Senate.
You're missing out on that. Now, you'll still know him, actually, in Statesboro. You'll still have that in.
Other facilities project that I want to really continue to push through these next couple months is our athletic complex expansion, track and field, a tennis complex, and a new baseball stadium. So we're working on that, working with the city. And so our goal is to get that moving forward out at the West Campus. So that's something I'm really focusing on. I'm also looking at a child care center for our employees that I want to continue that effort. I'll have to hand that off, but I think I can continue to work towards that. So a few things there, and then really making sure the transition, the leadership, the interim that'll be named here possibly by the end of the week has all the support he or she needs along the way. Did you get that? See, I didn't even divulge it. And so we will make sure that everything is ready to continue seamlessly. So those are my goals.
I was going to say, do you have any role in that, in appointing that interim?
No. That's the Chancellor and the Board of Regents. I've certainly provided my recommendations, but that is their decision.
Can I guess? And you tell me yes or no? No, okay. Typically, what's the process? As far as interview, like how many people will be interviewed for the permanent position, and how long that takes?
They'll start a full national search probably in the fall, is my assumption, and so they'll go through that, and if everything goes well, sometime January, February of 2020, they'll have identified the new president, and then depending on the start date for that person, they will assume the duties.
And you've said as much in this interview, but what would be the selling points to a president, to get a good president to come to Carrollton University?
Vibrant community of an institution that's growing, that has 7 institutional records out of its 10 key performance indicators. Its incredible reputation in the university system, in the state, and the region, and has a leadership in place to implement that. And they would be coming in a organization, a structure that's on the move, in motion, and moving forward and doing great things.
In the next 2 months, what for people who haven't had a chance to say goodbye to you yet? I mean, again, I know you've met many people here, and we forgot to mention your wife as well, a big part of the cultural community.
I can't tell you how many times
on her as well.
Yeah, I've heard from so many people. You can go, Kyle, but Jane and Lily need to stay. Or Jane will tell people, "Yeah, I'm going to really miss them." But we have loved this community and cherished it, and I want everyone to know just how difficult this decision was and is because of them, of the people. And so we will be friends forever. I can tell you that with so many of the people in this community, and I'm so proud of the faculty and staff and the students that represent this institution, and this community should be proud of them too.
Dr. Carl Marrero, Annalie Ashley, both with the University of West Georgia, thank you for coming out this morning. It's 8:59, so we're going to let you sneak off real quick so you can take care of some business. Do appreciate you squeezing us in this morning.
Thank you, sir.
And appreciate everybody listening and tuning in to Facebook, News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. Also live online at newstalk1330.com. Brought to you by Tanner Health System. Have a great Monday, everybody.
Thank you.